Our actions are all that we leave when we depart this world. You're all here because of my father's actions, his mentoring, his kindness, his listening skills, his great storytelling, the support beyond what is normal in our lives and in academia. In Sanskrit, it's known as karma, our actions. My father continues to live through me and my brother and sisters. He was a great storyteller and orator, and I can't help but believe there's the Irish lineage there. Oscar Wilde, Lewis, the other great Irish writers. He had a poster with all the great Irish writers, often in his room, that I would glance up at. Although he was in academia and educational evaluation, he claimed that he never conducted an evaluation. He talked more about storytelling. And I think he understood the power of storytelling as something that's dynamic and memorable and something that moves from a temporary memory to a persistent form. Storytelling reaches our subconscious. Dr. Hood Stafford's here. I'd like to share a story about Stafford, the first time that I remember him in our house many, many years ago. I believe he was a PhD candidate, and my dad was there, and he came in with Stafford, and it was just me, and I'd never seen Stafford before, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. We got another, person I don't know in our house. That's great. No, seriously, in a good way. But I know, just from kind of observing and being aware of what was going on, that it was really big and very important for Stafford. It was an important moment. And I remember my dad asking him casually if he'd like to get a bite to eat, something out of the refrigerator. Those actions, caring, mentoring, support, have a lasting impact on everybody. My dad had a peculiar love-hate relationship with schools and schooling from a very young age, and one of his, I think, brilliant aspects was understanding the power of storytelling. And I'm the same too. I have a love-hate relationship with education, and I think most of our education is not very effective. And he talked about that too, but we educate with mass learning. And when I say mass learning, that's not talking to mass amounts of people. That's through using didactogenic presentations and being told to read this. But he understood the power of storytelling to reach the subconscious and to stick for a long time. And so in some ways, I think he was an accelerated learning teacher. Those altruistic intentions that I talked about earlier with my father, it's very interesting. People do them for a variety of reasons, but also it really supports us and emotionally. It activates a part of our brain that makes us feel good, that reaching out, that compassion, that caring, that mentorship. And I don't think he was doing it for that reason, but he definitely got the benefits, as all of you do that are altruistic. When we were at Purdue University in the 50s, my dad met Tim Wallace, but he met through my mom, who's a great artist right up here, and through Audrey Wallace. And so my dad connected with Tim Wallace. Where's Tim, by the way? Right here. Okay, L.T. Wallace. My Tim was helping my dad move boxes into a house, and there was a lot of boxes, and with each box, my dad was like, and this is Wendy's clothes, and these are Todd's books, and this is some of Phyllis's art material, and he kept explaining away each box until finally Tim said, I don't care what's in the boxes. And my dad looked at him, and they both put down the boxes, and they just broke up laughing. And that sealed a lifelong friendship. In the spring of '68, we arrived here in Urbana, and Bob Stakes here, Bernadine Stake was the one who helped us find our home right next to them on Iowa Street. And so I have to acknowledge that in Bernadine's altruistic intentions. Connected us with the Stake family. My parents gave us a lot of freedom as children to attend a radical school called Education 2. Fred Trump's over here. I asked him if he would consider that to be a charter school or not, but it was pretty radical at the time, but it gave us a lot of freedom, and I probably wouldn't have succeeded in tradition. I actually wouldn't have made it. Where's Henry Mears at? Where's Henry? By junior high, I was starting to get B's and C's and D's. It wasn't happening, but Education 2 really saved me through experiential learning and moving beyond mass learning and didactogenic presentations. But my father gave us the gift of being able to attend that, even though I think he was a little bit wary of, coming from academia, what was going on in this school. And I know parents got together and were concerned about Fred and what he was doing. Also, my father gave me the freedom to go out west when probably I was 16 or 17. I remember we were in Detroit, and I bought a backpack for like $19 or something, and I used that to go out west with, was it Post 12? It's kind of a radical hippie Boy Scout group. And he's like, sure, you can go. I don't know who these people are. We got on a bus and I went to Montana, and it really changed my life. Glacier Park, 10 days, backpacking in the deep wilderness, catching cutthroat trout, and I realized there was more than the Cordon Belt jungle surrounding East Central Illinois. I'm very grateful to have grown up here, but I'm very grateful for the freedom my parents gave us in choosing what we want to do in our lives, where we want to live. Those choices are very, very powerful. During the latter part of his life, my father immersed himself in hospice care for over 2 decades. There's copies of the book over here. It's called Being with the Dying, but I think it's really Lessons from the Dying. Feel free to take a copy if you'd like. He did that for a variety of reasons, I think. He did it because of his altruistic intentions, once again, wanting to share, to support people. I think he also did it to learn more about himself, to learn more about listening and being present in the present moment. And to be really honest with you, I think he also did it to learn to prepare himself for dying too. Now, dying is not a really fun subject, but impermanence is a reality. And most of us believe in impermanence. Well, by recognizing that, which is deep in our subconscious mind, just like the storytelling, we free up a part of ourselves, and we can live lives more richly. We can connect with more people. And I think my father learned a lot about that in preparing himself for death. He wrote his own ticket in academia. He wasn't embraced by everybody. He was kind of a rebel, obviously being a storyteller. No story, no evaluation. Boy, he did have a love-hate relationship with schools, as I mentioned. When he was going to college, he worked the graveyard shift at the Ford Motor Company as a piston fitter. And then he went to Wayne, I think it was called Wayne University, and then it became Wayne State University. But I think he was really proud of being a piston fitter and very proud of the working man in our communities and within our culture. And people shared that earlier regarding him talking to janitors in schools and not just going to principals, talking to parents. So, in conclusion, my father's his actions, his compassion, his kindness, his mentoring, his doing more than what was asked of him in academia is why a lot of you are here, both in academia and out of academia. People in the community, there's a lot of community folks here. But our actions, I believe, are all that we leave. And I ask you, what will you leave?